Still nothing. Wait a minute. There we go. Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me? Gosh, that was long enough. I don't know why it's doing that. It's giving me a bunch of error messages. Might be the software that I'm using, the GoToMeeting or the GoToWebinar software. I'm gonna just double check my internet speed, make sure it's quick. It should be blasting away. Oh yeah, it's fast. Okay, now we can hear you. Good. All right, welcome back. Thanks for your patience. I wanted to get this up, so I was using my GoToWebinar software to connect with you guys, because I have to set up the online, the other streaming software, and that's going to take some time because there's a bunch of settings and so forth. So we're here, we're live. So today is Throwback Thursday. I want you to send me some of your charts if you want to take a look at them. So let me know what charts you are wanting to examine. I was taking a quick look at Moderna, some news on Moderna, and some reasons why price is dropping right now. But you know, if we look at the charts, you could see that, I mean, this move that we had to the upside was just ridiculous. Okay, you know, it can't be sustained. At some point it has to retrace. Okay, so areas like down here is where we're looking to see if price will drop down to, because very likely we're going to see price come down and then start to climb back up. All right, that's what I'm seeing. So obviously there has to be a reason to cause price to drop. Okay, there's got to be a reason. So now they're in the media blasting and giving all these explanations why price is dropping. But from what I see, they're just dropping price down into areas of demand. That's it. And then the same routine will continue. Same routine. You wanted to take a look at Aussie. Yeah, we could do that. We can do that. So we're seeing a lot of weakness in the currencies right now, which is a good sign, because you know, we've been waiting for this weakness to pick up. So it's taken some time to get there, but now we're starting to see it. And so if you see here on Aussie, we had that initial reaction from down here, okay, that area of demand that we had mapped out. We saw the reaction to the upside, but we also took note that the structure to the upside on the daily chart was very weak. Okay, this structure to the upside was very weak. All right, and so the expected move to the downside, we talked about this in the EURUSD report. The last few reports we were talking about it, about how this move to the outside was likely not going to be sustained, and we were going to see a drop in price. Okay. If we look at the Aussie Japanese yen, okay, this is one of interest to me. We're seeing that weakness kick in with the Aussie, so it is dropping as expected. And if we look at the weekly chart, we can see that there's nothing to support Aussie on its drop. Okay, it'll drop, but there's nothing to support it. There's nothing to hold price up here, so the drop can be significant. All right, now we are watching here, this area here, because this might be an area of interest for the banks to drop and then reverse price up. Okay, so I am watching that. The CAD yen, So this one's an interesting one because we are watching for a trade signal to take place up here, okay? And anybody who's been following along with the Aruja reports and the watch list that we've been doing, okay? If we break this down, remember what I was talking about, right? So here we have a 1 hour chart. This is what price looked like on a 1 hour chart as it was coming down into that area of demand, okay? And what we can see is that, you know, the structures that we would be that we were looking for in order to have price display to us that the banks were interested in buying the CAD yen, it didn't take place. Okay, it came close to taking place, but it didn't take place. And so, as I was mentioning, when things like this happen, it usually means that the banks are not interested in accumulating price or accumulating the currency to push it back up. So a lot of strange things took place instead. Okay, a lot of strange things took place, but eventually, as you can see, it didn't produce what we were looking for. Okay, and so if it doesn't produce what we were looking for, then that means there's no trade signal. All right, and we have to sit in the sidelines and wait to see what happens. If there's no trade signal, that means the banks are not interested in purchasing. So if they're not interested in purchasing, then we sit. And now the interesting thing is that it prevented us from triggering and going into a position because there was no chart signal for it. And so now this area is under attack as far as I'm concerned. Okay, I'm going to be watching this area to see if it breaks through, because if this 90.92 area gets taken out, then we can easily see price drop down like that. Okay, down to this area here. That would be the area that I would be looking to see price drop towards. Okay, so that keeps us away from that. And so this suggests that the Canadian dollar is going to get weaker, right? And that is in line with what we're seeing with oil. Okay, we saw price decline from this area up here, this supply area. Now, I had mentioned to members in the EURUSD report, anybody still long this oil, be very careful because of this area here. It's very powerful. So take that into consideration when managing your trade. And so it came, and now it's testing an ascending trend line, right? But this ascending trend line is not being supported by the banks. And we know why that's the case. All right, so it's not being supported by the banks. Retail traders drawing these trend lines are thinking that maybe we're going to get a nice rally up here. So that's why they are purchasing. But if you take a look at one time frame lower, look what is taking place here. Okay, yes, they are purchasing straight into an area of supply. Okay, supply created by the banks. So take note of that and remember that, because that might play in what's about to happen. Okay, it might play in. And if that's the case, you know, you see the Canadian dollar, right? You see it weaker, the CAD yen. We're seeing the signs that, you know, the structure is not going to hold and it's going to drop. So a weak Canadian dollar timed with a weak oil. So that would make sense. This breaks through and then price just drops like that. Okay, and then we will be watching for trade signals eventually to get into long positions again on this one. USCAD, we've had this situation here where price dropped, produced a signal to get out of short positions, and now it's starting to reverse, and it's got a clear path up until the 125s, 125.78s, clear path to get up there. I don't see any reason why it couldn't do that, especially with the US dollar. Take a look at the US dollar strength here, right? Remember this area, guys? That was the area we were watching for, right? Watch for strength up there. My little note, watching for daily demand to hold for continued move higher. Yeah, that's what's happening. All right, so all of our expectations coming to fruition now. So that's looking good. So, you know, with that dollar strength, like I said, there's nothing to suspect that we're not going to see a rally up here, which means weakness for the Canadian dollar. Oil is weak, CAD yen showing signs that it's going to be weak. So everything's in line with what is our expectations. Okay. So let's go on to pound yen. Here's an interesting one that I like. Okay. Was watching for a signal off of this area here. 1 hour. Let's take a look at the 1 hour chart, show you how it is that we can use our charts to determine whether or not there are signals. Okay. So on this chart here, let me just remove this. On this chart here, we had price coming down. Okay. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now, remember, I posted this in the forum yesterday. All right. If we take that, all right, you see what's going on here. All right. You see what's going on here. So we have this structure to the downside. It's a major structure. Okay. So this is pointing in the direction that the banks are pushing price downwards into an area of demand. Okay. So if the banks were going to start buying in this area, this pressure to the downside would turn into pressure to the upside. Okay. But did that take place? Did they switch that momentum from being downward to being upward? No, they didn't. Okay. So they didn't switch the downward momentum to upward momentum, which they could have, but they didn't. And so now what are we seeing? We're seeing the breakdown of this area here. Okay. We're seeing the breakdown of that area of demand. Here's the demand, and now it's breaking down. Price is dropping. So that was your signal to stay out. And I mentioned this in detail yesterday. Okay. So now we have this area of demand here that's being deeply penetrated. And once it breaks through, it opens up a pathway for a move even lower, which is okay. All right. It's okay because price could be making a very substantial retracement before a reversal. So if I'm going to get in long, I prefer to get it at cheaper prices rather than more expensive prices. Okay. So this could be a really nice long trade soon. Soon, not quite yet. So let's take a look at the pound. So yeah, so now it's basically dropping from the euro weakness, pound weakness. Okay, euro is picking up a little bit more momentum to the downside. So pound weakness, pound is very weak this morning, very weak. That's good. And look at this. You know, we have the U.S. dollar showing strength, right? And look at the CAD, or sorry, look at the yen. Look how it's holding up there. Interesting, right? So they're focusing on buying the dollar, dropping the pound, Aussie. Let's take a look at Kiwi really quickly. Yeah, they're making a move on the Kiwi as well. So after today, maybe later today or tomorrow, what we'll see is them start to pick up these other pairs and start making some moves on them as well. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't do that. So pound yen dropping really right down here. That's a very nice drop. Yeah, it's just about to break through that area of demand. So drop down and maybe a reversal from a little bit lower. So we'll be watching for trade signals on this one. Okay, long trade signals. That's what I'd be interested in. The only thing I don't like is that the pound really doesn't have any clear demand until quite lower here on the charts, 131s. And if I was to go long pound yen, ideally I would want the pound to be supported by some institutional buying. So, and that couldn't happen until lower unless the other markets kick in and reverse and start pushing price up. Okay, so what I will want is to see price stall at some level. Okay, I want to see price stall at some level, and I want to see some real strong momentum to the upside on the US dollar Japanese yen. That's what I'd like to see. But if the trade signal is there on the pound yen, then I'll jump in. Euro Aussie was one that we called the drop on. Very nice up here somewhere. We were talking about this in level 2, level 3, and big drop. I don't know if you guys saw the blog post that was created on it, but it was well written by Jason. Should take a look at it here. You go to our blog, and the last post that was made, Trade Like a Professional, it goes into detail and some more detail about what we were looking for. Okay. And the signal to get out of that short position. So that worked out quite well. You know, people say, how do you know? How do you time? How do you time the markets to get out at the lows? Is it even possible? Can you get out at reversal points? Yeah, you can. Okay. I mean, we had this area of demand drawn out a long time ago. Okay. So is it any wonder that we're seeing strong buying taking place off of that area of demand? Not really. Because that's what happens. Banks will sell until areas of buying come into contact, and when they come into contact, then the buying takes place. So yes, can you time the market so perfectly that you can get out at extreme lows? Yes, you can. Okay. And we had the signal to get in short even before the momentum to the downside took place. Okay, just by examining the other markets and correlating them together. So yes, a lot of things are possible that you've been told are not possible. Okay, so just want to give you a little update on those pairs that we are looking at. Let's go back to the pairs you want to see. Daily demand about to hit for long. Yeah, that's gone now. So we can erase that. Yeah, there we go. And this one too. Okay. The other pairs you want to take a look at, Euro, Japanese yen. So Euro, Japanese yen doesn't have much going on there. We've been watching this one for a while. It's dropping into an area of demand, then we're going to see some kind of a reaction there, and then likely even further push to the downside, okay? Based on what I'm seeing with the Euro. Ethereum, what's Ethereum up to? Yeah, it's inching up to new highs. Yeah, it looks like we have a nice trend here on the weekly chart, upward trend. Right there. Yeah, nice weekly trend there to the upside. So if we get price dropping, we could see a nice move from there. Okay, if price was to drop back down to the 36 area, we could see a really nice move from there. So again, I wouldn't be buying at highs like this. I'd have to wait for price to drop. Let me see if my it's not changing. That's interesting. Oh, it's not changing. My zones are not working. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin. Yeah, pretty much doing nothing. But again, weekly chart, we have a nice weekly uptrend here. Okay, decent weekly uptrend, not the highest quality, and we know why, because we've talked about this numerous times. And we do have an area of demand here, just like on Ethereum. So if price was to come down here, this would be an area of interest for buying down there. Okay. So just waiting to see, you can see on the weekly chart there has been no close above previous highs, which is a weak sign. Could it go higher? Sure it could, but just telling you what I'm seeing. Pound Aussie. What's happening with Pound Aussie? Yeah, it's an ugly chart. I haven't liked this chart for a long time. It just doesn't look good. The condition that it's in and so forth, not good. Euro, yeah, so we've talked about the euro. We are watching the euro for a move off this area of supply here. This is our supply area. Price came into it, big drop, institutional selling, and then now we've got these lows to contend with. Once these lows are removed, then momentum to the downside will pick up. Let's take a look at the pounds. Yeah, it's still got lows to remove as well. And the dollar is still got the highs to remove. Okay. So in terms of the dollar, we got this area here. So if price was to come up here, create demand, we could see a nice retracement and then use that area to propel price higher. Very good chance of that. Now we went through Aussie Japanese yen, retracing to areas of demand. Yeah. So these retracements on the yen pairs, they could be setting up for really nice trades soon. Okay. It could be setting up for really nice trades. So I'll be watching out for that. Yeah, USCAD picking up that momentum a little bit more now. Okay, let me just save that. Let's look at these other markets here. Look at that. Very nice. Options traders, remember? Price was, where was price? Somewhere here, wasn't it? When we called the breakout to new highs. Very nice. Options traders, you could have bought call options there. That worked out very, very nicely. So again, using the same principles that we teach to determine what is going to take place in the other markets, not just currencies. You can do it for anything: commodities, currencies, stocks, indices. So got an upward trend on the daily, got an upward trend on all the time frames really. And now we can adjust this one. Like that. Have something like that. Okay, it's working again now. There we go. Beautiful. NASDAQ, probably the same thing. Yeah, this one's on fire. This one's on fire. So we got a weekly trend. We got a weekly trend to the upside. Very strong weekly trend to the upside. If we get a drop down to this area here, be a nice area to time the market's strength from this area here. Okay. Wouldn't be surprised by that. Daily chart, again, nice trend as well. Adjust this trend line here. Nice upward trend here, and that's what we got now. Yeah, very strong markets. Very strong, and it's just beginning to push again. 1,500, 15,000, I should say. It's just beginning to create massive demand here. This is just the beginning phase of it. So there's extremely strong buying here. You know, it just basically looks like, you know, regardless of what's happening in the world, they're just going to continue to push the market. No, it doesn't even make any difference now if it's fundamentally supported or not. It's just going to do what it's going to do. Dow Jones, not as strong, but same idea. Decent. Russell, strong as well. After the multiple weeks at an institutional area of buying, eventually we see the push to the upside. So that's looking good. How's Zoom doing? Still at demand, which we've talked about. Institutional buying here. So again, this is Zoom, right? So let's say you're trading Zoom. What you have to remember is that you've got this structure here. Okay? And this is pointing down. So now we have institutional buying that is being contacted. What we want to see is structures to the upside now. That's what we want. And once that's established, then you have your signal that things are looking good for the upside move. Okay? That's the concept, the basic version of the concept. Obviously, there's a lot more to it, but that is what we would be looking for. Okay. Amazon perking up, nice. It had dropped from some supply. It dropped from some supply and was holding down, being held down from that area of supply. Let's take a look here. Yeah. So now we have that situation here. Okay. So you see what's happening here. All this within the red box was bearish. This here is neutral because it's working outside of that area, that bearish area, right? Once we start to get the bullish, then that's your sign that price is likely going to head higher. Okay. But if I was personally trading this, I wouldn't want to be involved until this area of supply was taken out. Out, trend, start buying. And, you know, if once that area of supply gets removed, there's no reason why it wouldn't continue higher. Netflix, strong with demand, upward trends, weekly chart, monthly chart, daily chart. I wouldn't be making trading decisions based off the daily chart. Weekly chart, I would. Buying at areas of demand. Walmart. Remove that supply that was there, holding price down, so there's no reason why I can't go higher. Tesla. Again, Tesla was one that we called down here. The 850s. That it was likely going to break out from what we saw in the markets, right? What we saw in the SPY. That it was highly likely going to break out and then clear move to the upside. And look at that, Tesla. Buying call options. You think that would have played out well? Yeah, I think so. Perfectly. So look at that. Facebook has supply up above. Apple needs to break through supply before it really kicks in. NVDA. Look at that retracement into area of demand. Okay, does supply and demand work? Yes, it does, 1,000%. Consistently. All right. That's what's happening. This is what's happening. The big players buy, causing price to rally. They wait until price drops into those areas where they're interested in buying, and then they buy again before they shoot it to the moon. Wouldn't it be nice to know exactly those areas? Yeah, well, you can know. We've been showing them to you. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to watch future analysis videos so you could take part in these gigantic moves. Okay. J&J, not much. Pfizer, not much. They're pretty much all just retracing. Yeah, good. Well, it's just perfectly timed, right? Because if you look at what's happening in the world, right, they're starting to introduce boosters. Okay, it's just they're just talking about it, and they're starting to talk about giving younger adults and teenagers the shots as well. So I bet you any money that we're going to see price retracing into areas of demand, and then when the momentum kicks up for these boosters, then we'll see price shoot back up again. That's just my take from what I'm seeing. So we'll see. All right, ladies and gents, I think that was a good session this morning. You guys could hear me okay, see me. There was a little bit of a delay at the beginning. I think it was just the software having a difficult time connecting. I'll have to look into that and tweak some of the settings and work on that. But if you guys could hear me okay well, and you guys can see my screen, then I guess we did a good job today. All right, it's nice to be back. We had a few days of not having my computer, which was a real pain, but I got the Windows 10 operating system now, which is okay, still getting used to it. But you know, so far, you know, computer's been running pretty steady, so can't really complain, I guess. All right, guys, so I'll let you guys go. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you guys very soon. All right, take care, everyone.